Level 115. Now, lots of variables here. These rows and columns mark Y, and we have one Y bomb. Let's see. First, we ask, can Y be 0? What happens then? If Y is 0, this is 0, and this is 0. But then we get contradictions, because this bomb hits the same targets as this bomb. In other words, Y is not 0. What can Y be then? Well, it has to hit at least 6 bunnies. And this row only has 9 free spaces, so it has to be less than 9, which tells me it can be 6 or it can be 7, but no more. So it's going to hit either these or these. And now if we look, and what about X? So we know that Y can at most hit one of these. That means that either this or this is not going to be hit by Y, and can only be hit by X. So we know X is not 0 either. Also, this row has 5 walls. That means that at least one of these bombs is going to be blocked from hitting one of these bunnies. And that means all of these bunnies have to be hit by Y, since at least one of them has to be. So that lets us place a wall here. And also this means Y cannot hit these. These can also not be hit by X, so they have to be hit by these bombs. Now X has to hit this bunny. Nothing else can. And that means we need to have walls here. So 6 walls so far. So far, so good. So either one more wall, or we have a wall here. But let's see, this column is going to have 2 more walls. And that means Y is now 7. So Y, this bomb has to hit this bunny as well, and we need a wall here. Now Y can't hit any more bombs, which means Y equals 7. And so these must be empty. And now conveniently this column has 7 spaces left. All of them must be walls. And now this is gray. So are these. This is one more wall. And we need walls here. And what about the last space? Well, let's see. Both on a question mark row. But what happens if we place a wall? Then it is locked away from the crystal. So it has to be empty. Level 116. First, let's separate these crystals. And now we see these can only be hit by this bomb. And these can only be hit by this bomb. This only by this bomb. And let's see. These all need a path out. We see this is connected here. There are 4 crystals and 4 bombs, so each crystal connects to 1 bomb. Also, remember each zone needs to have at least 1 bunny and 1 bomb. That means none of the bombs can hit 0. And so at least one of them is 1. And we have 4 bombs, each with a different value. None of the values are 0, and the sum has to be 10. The only way that works out is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. Now let's start by separating. Bombs can't touch other bombs, and crystals not other crystals. So we need some walls to separate. So now this is gray. This can only be hit by this bomb. We need to have a wall here. This needs a path out. This needs to be a wall. Now this crystal cannot connect to this bomb, which is already connected to another crystal. It can't connect here either. So it needs to connect to something else, which can only be this bomb. So it needs a path that way. Anyway, we need to separate here. And that means B cannot hit this one, which has to be hit by this bomb. Now, one of the bombs has to hit 4 targets. That could either be B by hitting this, or A by hitting this and this. What that means is, well, let's see. All the bombs hit at least 2 except for X. That means X equals 1. Let's see. If X hits this one, then Y equals 3. And then B has to hit this one. And A equals 2. That could be a possibility. But let's see here. This crystal is not connected. It can't connect to B. It can't connect to Y. Certainly can't connect to X. There's no way to path to X without touching anything adjoining Y or B. So it has to connect to A. But if it connects to A, it has to go through here somewhere. What does that mean? That means that B cannot touch this bunny, because there is no way to get a walled off path that hits A if B bombs this bunny. So B has to have a wall here, which means this has to be hit by A. Also, there needs, the path here needs to go down here somewhere, so we need a wall here, which grays out this row, and it tells it B equals 4. Now we need walls here and here. Also, there has to be a wall here. This is gray. So is this. This is gray. Now the path for this crystal needs to go down here somewhere, which means these have to be walls. That grays out this. This can't be a wall. Neither can this. Also, X has to be 1, so it has to hit this bunny. And we need walls here and here, as well as separating walls here. That grays out this column. This is gray as well. We need walls to separate here. This is gray, and we need a wall here. And now these are gray. One more wall here. Now one of these has to be a wall, which means these are not walls. And that lets us fill in these 2 rows. Walls here. Now there are 2 more walls total. Let's see if they are here. That's not possible because that would make a disconnected empty space here. Could it be these two? Well, no, it can't be these two because then this, well, there's only one wall. Could it be these two? No. That means the only possibility is that these two are walls. And there you have it. Level 117. In the bottom row, there are 8 walls. And we see this bomb has to hit one of these. That's the only option for this bomb. That tells me that 3 of these spaces need to be open. That means we have to have walls here, and then 3 walls either here or here. Looking at this bomb, it needs to hit 4 targets. It cannot simultaneously hit this and this bunny, because that would connect these crystals. And also, it can't simultaneously hit these two, because that would lock this in, and it needs to hit at least this one or this one, and that would necessarily connect this with one of these. In other words, it can only hit one of these and one of these. Now, in order for it to hit 4 targets in total, it therefore has to hit these. And then either this or this. And now we see this bunny can only be hit by this bomb. And now this bunny only by this bomb, which now has 4 targets. This bomb can only hit this bunny. And this bomb can only hit this bunny, which means we can fill in walls here. Now this column is gray. This bomb needs to hit 2 targets, so it needs to hit this one at least, and then this or this. In this row, we must have 1 wall here and a wall somewhere here. That means these are not walls. And we see now these are connected. This bunny can only be hit by this bomb. And we must have walls between, well, at least 1 wall between this bomb and this crystal. So one of these is a wall. Also, this crystal cannot connect here, since that's connected to this crystal. So there needs to be a path, and there has to be a wall somewhere here. One of these two. So a wall that takes a path here. So it could be something like this, or like this. In any case, we see we need walls here to separate it from this crystal. That grays out this column and this one. And now we see the wall has to be here, so the crystal is not hit by the bomb. Now one of these has to be a wall, at least. This has to be a wall. This is gray. And this row needs 1 more wall. That means this bomb has to hit this bunny. Which means we need a wall here. And this bomb has to hit these two. Now we know one of these two is a wall. Also, this has to be a wall. This bomb has to hit this bunny. And the final bunny has to be hit by this bomb. This is gray. So now we see that everything on the right side here is connected to this crystal. Most of the left side to this, and the middle connected to this one. This can't connect to this. So at least one of these is a wall. But if this is a wall, there has to be a wall connecting to it to separate zones here, then that happens. So one of these is a wall and one of these is a wall. And yeah, we can't have this. So these cannot be walls. And this cannot be a wall. That means this has to be a wall. Now this is gray. And we need clearly a wall here. Now this is gray. We need some more walls. We need to separate these and these. So here's a wall, and here, as well as here. Now this is gray. This is gray. And this has to be a wall. We need separation here between this and this, as well as this and this. That requires two walls, which means this cannot be a wall. There's one wall in this row. If we have free spaces here or here, that can't be. Well, actually, this is, yeah, we can't have that. Therefore, this has to be a wall. That grays out the row. And this column. Now we need walls here and here. So now this is gray. And so is this. This has to be a wall. So does this. So now this is gray. And now we see this is connected here, which means we need a wall here. And now this is gray. And of course we need walls between these. Now this is filled out. And one more empty space. These have to be walls. So does this. This is gray. One more wall here. We need a wall to separate this bomb from this bunny. Now this is gray. We can fill in this row. That makes this gray. Now this has to be a wall. This has two more walls. This is gray. This needs one more wall, which is the final one.